Hey everybody, Brett from AstartesGaming here, back with another first look video. Today we're going to be checking out Lord of Dwarves, which is a sort of like sandbox. There is a campaign, but it's a sandboxy sort of like colony survival game. It's basically Nomoria meets RimWorld, and it falls somewhere in between those two games on quite a few things. I would say it falls in between there in terms of like enjoyability as well. I like it more than I liked Nomoria, quite a bit more than Nomoria, but I think I would still prefer RimWorld, at least at this stage. The game is in alpha, as you can see by the stamp on the title there, so it is far from finished and subject to quite a few changes, so keep that in mind as I give my impressions. But I will be judging the game based on what is, here and in front of me. So anyways, let's jump into a sandbox game. There is a campaign, as I mentioned, and we'll do a new game. So you have all your typical settings here. You can name your kingdom. Apparently there's a climax battle, and you can determine how difficult and when you face that. Let's just do an easy preset, and then you can customize your terrain, what sorts of creatures you're going to run into, monsters, animals, and your starting party. Resource availability, advanced is apparently just how dark it is at night, and I'm sure they'll add more stuff to that tab at some point. And then dynamic stuff, so will significantly alter gameplay, so they consume food and drink. Apparently you can uncheck that and I guess remove some of these survival aspects. Same goes for sleep there, and then you can allow them to fly, which is interesting. I imagine that would make apparently it says it trivializes combat, but I imagine that would make construction a lot easier too. Yeah, construction will occur much more quickly because scaffolding is a thing in this. So I'll leave that alone. Let's go ahead and just jump in. And I've noticed that the load times are actually very, very quick, considering that it is generating a world. A pretty decent sized one at that. But in Nomoria, the load times are pretty rough. RimWorld, they're better, but still a bit long. And in this game, they're really not that bad. It should finish up in just a second. And that could be because of my processor. I am running like an 8-core processor. So even though I'm recording, I have a lot of cores to throw at this game. But yeah, so there we have the world generated, and I'll pan out in just a second so you guys can see. But yeah, it generates quite a bit of world, and it should, go off in every direction as you sort of move around. And the game plays sort of like an isometric RimWorld, with a lot less to do. And the building is, very much like Nomoria, maybe even like an isometric Minecraft where you're placing down blocks. So the first thing I'm going to do is probably just queue up some tree harvesting. I will say that the controls and the UI in this are definitely a lot better than Nomoria. I don't mean to pick on that game, but I did a first look video on it not long ago, and I just found it really rough to do anything I wanted to do in that game. Whereas RimWorld, which isn't entirely comparable, but it plays similarly, I found that to be a much smoother experience, just sort of jumping in and being able to figure things out as I went. Whereas Nomoria, I actually had to read the guide that came with the game a bit, and then I was still struggling in certain aspects. And then we're gonna queue up some harvesting of whatever this stuff is. Apparently I can't harvest that. I don't know what I just did there, but okay. I just want to harvest this stuff, but I don't think I can. Oh, I can, okay. For whatever reason it didn't select that first time. So we'll get rid of all of this. And while they do that, I will start queuing up some building. So let's see. We don't want to carve any stairs, we want to construct. So we get to choose our material. We're going to have more wood than anything because that's all we're harvesting right now. So we'll go with oak because apparently those are oak trees. And we just place blocks. So you can have them stack them all at once. So if you want to make something 3 high, you can just do that immediately, which is kind of cool. You don't have to place them one by one. But you'll need scaffolding to build that high, so for now we're just going to build one high, and I'll build a little building. We'll go something roughly that size. Let's see, that's 3, so we'll continue at 3 over there. And I'll probably leave doors on a few of the sides. I didn't mean to build that block there. Can I cancel it? No. Okay, I'll have to figure out how to do that. So, anyways, let's just keep wrapping these walls around. And as we go, they'll build them. There are other aspects of this game, obviously. So, this looks very reminiscent of RimWorld. We can set, or actually, excuse me, this is their skills. And you can give them various professions. You've got dedicated soldiers, and you know, apparently you can tame monsters and wild animals. That's cool. Combat, this shows you sort of like ongoing combat, and you can basically send all of your soldiers to go deal with it. Military, so you can actually put together pretty advanced defenses. That's something that RimWorld doesn't really allow you to do. Obviously you can set up stuff with traps and turrets, but in terms of your populace actually doing things, you're sort of just drafting them when the need arises and then sending them back to their other jobs. In this game, you actually set up, you know, guard rotations and things like that, so you can basically have dwarves, you know, manning watchtowers and things to keep your guys protected. Apparently you can turn your guys into a militia, and uniforms. So you can basically give, like, anybody who becomes a soldier is going to have like X weapon, X armor, and so on. So that's kind of cool. It makes them easier to visually distinguish, and you don't have to micromanage all those guys. You can basically just have this set, and they'll sort of take care of it themselves. I don't know how big the populations get in this, but I imagine, given that they have stuff like that, that it would be pretty big. Because in RimWorld, you don't need something like that. You have so few colonists that it really doesn't matter. In this game, I imagine you're going to have a lot of people. Do we look at animals? Okay, so we can domesticate stuff. That's kind of cool. So you can basically just say, like, rather than queuing up specific animals, you can just say, you know, hunt 3 deer a day or something. But there's none in the area, at least not yet. And then resources, this is just our stockpile, and so on. So keep building, and then let's see. Let's slap down a basic workshop. We'll do probably wood, because that's what we have right now. And we'll throw that inside our building. And we'll see what that does. We'll have to find stone. I imagine that's going to require us to dig down into something. So maybe we'll do it here. Let's see, mine like those out or something, and then we'll dig some stairs into that. Or see if that works anyways. Okay, so carve me some stairs. I don't want them going up, I want them going down. Let's see. Mine that out. Mine those both out, actually. And then we'll build some stairs going into that. Okay. That looks about right. Hopefully I place those in the right spot. And then keep mining this out. We'll get some stone eventually. So what other stuff can we craft? Let's see. Guard post. I think it just designates an area for guards to stand. It's not necessarily like anything specific. Let's see. We can cut blocks. No, I don't want to do that. I want to build stuff. So let's see. In place. We have torches, but that's about it. So what else can I make here? I guess we have to probably make the furniture at the shop. I would think anyway. So maybe we should place a carpentry shop as well. Put it outside? That seems like a bad idea. I'll build it here, and we might have to move it. So what are you guys up to right now? It looks like you're just kind of standing around. Maybe I should queue up some more trees for you to cut. We are going to need plenty of wood, so keep on that. And we'll get some over here as well. There they go. So is nobody gonna work on our little mine shaft here? Doesn't seem like it. At least he's building. This guy's just chilling out in the forest. What is your job? You're a cook. Well, that makes sense then. Nothing for you to cook at the moment. There's a guard. What are you up to? You're an assembler. Well, there's shit for you to assemble. Go do it. One thing I really like about RimWorld that a lot of games like this don't seem to really do is in RimWorld, basically anything that you want to do, if you go to whatever object you would be doing it to, you can right click and it will bring up a like a drop down box that allows you to select whatever it is that you wanted to do. So even if you don't know how to get there through the menus, you can pretty much just right click on anything that you want to interact with and issue the command or whatever that way. And in No Moria, in this game as well, they don't do that. So you have to know how to find whatever you're trying to do through their menus, which can be a bit difficult. So that's something that I think this game could certainly improve upon or learn from. And I guess you could say the same about games like No Moria as well. But that's just something that seems to be sort of core to these types of games, is just that the user interface is typically not great. And that's kind of sad because these games can be very enjoyable. It's just they're generally pretty rough to get into because you have to be very familiar with the various menus in order to get anything done. So I feel like I'm not being particularly efficient here. My guys are doing a lot of standing around. But there's nothing for us to hunt. Only a handful of them seem to be interested in building and or chopping trees. You can see we have quite a bit of food already. These are all rations right here. And then it looks like... oh, these are hay bales, okay. Anyway, I'd like for them to finish this structure and then build these things in here, but they don't seem to be too keen on doing that. Only one guy is actually doing it, so I might have to change some of their jobs. But let's finish building this place up. And then we'll probably just like roof it off with a flat roof. But these guys are exactly 1 block wide and 1 block tall, so you can pretty much just leave the doorways one little cube and they'll fit through just fine. In fact, I should probably do that. So let's let's just throw one right there, and right there, and right there, and they should be able to squeeze through there. Dwarf stout. Do we have any? Do we have any stout? I thought dwarves are more of like an ale. More like ale drinkers. Stouts are... I don't know. I'm not a big stout drinker. They're too thick. They're, if anything, they make me more thirsty, not less thirsty. But, yeah, they just do not seem interested in this thing here. So let's, see if I can't get them to dig this out. I want to create a mine here. And I wanted to build stairs, but they don't seem interested in building said stairs. I guess I have to carve... Okay, what I'll do then is I'll drop a block in there, and we'll carve that into stairs. I think that makes sense. Okay, you fooled me there, pal. I thought you were gonna drop it in. I guess he's coming over here first. So I'm a bit impatient here. I'm gonna see if I can get a few of these guys to build stuff. You're a laborer, so why don't you become a builder as well? Farmer, we'll have to look at farming, because I do have a bit of clear land that we can use here. I'm going to have you probably become a builder as well. Carpenter, stonemason, farmer. We've got 2 farmers, so I'm going to put one of you on assembling. And we'll see how that works. Maybe we'll get some more stuff done a little bit quicker. So, how do we farm? Okay, so after playing with the menus a little bit, I've found the crop field. So let's throw one down right about here. And obviously we don't want to grow nothing. Let's start with potatoes. Potatoes are good crops. I've only got 3 seeds, so we're not going to be able to do much with that, but we'll see how that goes. And in the meantime, hopefully our structure gets finished here. They finally placed a block there, so let's go ahead and build some stairs. And see how that looks. I'm not sure how we can exactly like maneuver the camera to see in there. You can't rotate the camera with Q and E as you would expect, so I'm not entirely sure how you would do that. But obviously we'll need to be able to rotate to be able to see down in there. I'm hoping that we find some stone. This guy's just sleeping on the ground. I mean, his name is Hard Rock, so I guess he just doesn't care. Also, I need this to get built, but we don't have enough rock. So, I guess what we'll do is find some boulders, because that will give us rock. And that will get us at least enough to build this table, which will let us hopefully make some basic furniture that we can in turn use to make this. Because it said we needed 2 tables for that, and we obviously don't have, you know, the ability to make tables yet. But we're getting there. Okay, so we finally have the resources compiled to build our little crafting thing here. So we can start making some tables. I would like to craft a few of them, so let's queue up maybe 4. I think if we hit this, it'll just do ×5, so why don't we do that instead? And we'll see how that goes. I'm not sure which person works that job. Maybe it'll say job woodcraft. Okay. Do we have anybody that does that? I'm sure we could assign it. Lumberjack. I mean, I would think like the carpenter, or I don't know. Maybe the assembler? I'm not sure who does that. There's no like woodcraft job. That refers to the skill, I believe. Yeah, so it would be the carpenter. Let's see if he does it. If not, we'll play with the jobs a bit. Or maybe the assembler will run over there. But our farm is coming along. Although I don't think he's actually planted anything yet. He's just tilling the land to get it ready. We've also got berries over here if we need them. What we don't have is access to water. Oh, and it looks like we gotten down into the dirt a little bit there. Let's mine this out and we'll build some more wood stairs. But yeah, we need to create a decent mine here. Again, I'm still not entirely sure how to operate the camera. There's no, like, I've checked all these and all this. So maybe camera controls on the UI, or at least with obvious key bindings would be nice. You know, Q and E to rotate and so on. Obviously you can zoom in with the mouse, but that's about as far as it goes. And not all that helpful. But yeah, you know, these being dwarves, I would think that, you know, building a base underground is an entirely viable strategy. And as it stands now, I don't think I could pull it off because I couldn't, you know, see what the hell they were doing in there. But yeah, we have dug down into here. Apparently we're just hitting dirt. Dirt, and more dirt, but we will see. Is that the right facing? Yeah. So we've got stairs going into something. And it looks like he is... So who are you? I didn't mean to click on that. I meant to highlight you. Hold still. Something... Heart? Baneheart. Okay, so Baneheart, you are the carpenter. Good, so the carpenter is the one doing it. That's what I expected. He is the best at woodcraft, but I don't know if his job would let him, you know, do that. But that's what a carpenter does, right? So I guess it makes sense. Once he's done with tables, we'll probably have him, I don't know, maybe get onto this, because I think this is what's going to allow us to make beds, if I'm not mistaken. But we need 3 tables and 2 long racks. So actually, or log racks, excuse me. Let's queue up a couple of those. And hopefully he's a little bit quicker about these tables, because damn, he is not getting very far. Alright, so we have our first table produced. We've still got 4 more to go. So I don't know if we're going to get to see this today, because I've, you know, basically been letting the game run while these guys do stuff. And I think I'm well over 30 minutes now. So I don't know how long I'm going to record this for, just to see them produce a carpentry workshop. But I think you guys have a pretty decent idea of the game thus far. Let's take a quick look at the other shops that we can build. So we started with the wood one. We can also do tool, or stone, obviously. A cook fire is probably a decent idea. You know, being able to make food, kind of important. One thing that's important to note on these, and it's kind of cool the way they did this, is there's an in and an out. And depending on which station you're using, they're in different areas. So that's important to note, because if you're trying to like streamline your production, you want to have those in like intelligent facings. So the in facing toward wherever the food is going to be coming from that needs to be cooked, and then the out toward wherever that's going to be stored. You know, if this were RimWorld, the out would be like toward your refrigeration area, where the in would be like, you know, coming from your butchering table or whatever. In this game, it's probably just going to be, you know, right out of the animal into the fire and then back into the pile on the ground. But still something to keep in mind. I'll probably throw it down right there, and we'll see what they do. And then I'm kind of curious what the stone tool workshop looks like. Okay, so basically just little tables where they smash on stuff. Let's throw that down over here. You know what, that's not a great spot for it. We'll build it on this side, right there. And then if they're quick about this, we'll take a look at just like some of the food and some of the tools that we can craft, and then we'll call it a day. But I think we've sort of seen everything that you can expect from this game. It looks a lot like Nomoria, and like I said, it plays a little bit more like RimWorld, which is a good thing. I like RimWorld personally. Nomoria I didn't, because it was just hell to get them to do what you wanted them to do. Not because they wouldn't listen to commands, but because those commands were often difficult to find. So that seems to be a lot easier in this. It's just a matter of like finding what you want to do in this little menu here. And I hope that they add more to this. Again, I'm not super sure exactly what there is to do already, because it looks like there are a lot of things, or a lot of different workshops to craft, and each one of these sort of opens up more things that you can build. So it could be pretty expansive, but it's not going to get to like RimWorld levels of depth where you're, you know, creating like electronic circuits running off of your solar panels so that you can power a refrigeration room and preserve your, you know, pemmican for like 10 years. I imagine that in this game it's just a matter of, you know, you're making food. I don't think it needs to like, yeah, like there's nothing saying that the food is spoiling, or, oh, we got 2 new dwarves, nice. Anyway, there's nothing saying like these rations are spoiling or that they are deteriorating from exposure, so it's not gonna get that complicated, it seems like. Again, this is alpha, so that could change, but it seems like this is gonna be a more straightforward type of game than RimWorld, so you don't need to worry about, you know, preserving lots of food into winter and so on and so forth. But yeah, so let's try to get them to finish crafting these 2 stations here. We'll take a quick look at the recipes available, and then we'll call it a day. Alright, so the cook fire is done, and it's pretty much exactly what you would expect. You just basically say like, hey, cook a deer, and, you know, you cook a deer. They're not done with the stone tools workshop yet, so I'll give that a little bit of time. Apparently there's a tin plate helmet here. Why they're making equipment out of tin, I don't really know, but more power to them, I guess. Alright, perfect. So he finished it just as we were looking at that. So we can make saws, hammers, picks, chisels, tongs, knives, and hand pumps. So I imagine these will be prerequisites for other stations, more advanced stations that, you know, you would need to build stuff. So let's throw something complicated down. Let's see, manual pump requires all that stuff. What does that do? Does that give me water? Hopefully that gives me water. We're actually like dangerously low on stuff to drink. But I imagine that would give us water, and you know, it requires those things which we would craft at one of these stations, and you get the idea. Anywho, this has been Lord of Dwarves. Hopefully you guys found this interesting and informative. The game is in alpha, so you know, still a lot of work to be done, but in the we already had all that stuff probably in our little stockpile here, given to us, you know, at the beginning. Had I known that, I probably would have just thrown that down immediately, but I didn't know that we would need that right away. So a little bit of metagame knowledge that I probably could have, you know, used there. But anywho, this has been Lord of Dwarves. Hopefully you guys found this interesting. If you'd like to see more of the game, let me know in the comments below. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I had a great time playing some Lord of Dwarves with you, and I look forward to seeing you guys back here for my next First Look video.